Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another episode of the JAMS Football Show with Kyle and Horace. We're moving on from just JAMS Football Power Rankings and more because, you know what? We're going to interview people now. We're making it into a show. We're now going to analyze tape. And today, I've actually headlined this video, Zach Ramjan, because in just a little bit, we're going to get into the highlights of this kid to just show how much of a game changer he was on the very first opening game of the 2015 JAMS season. I'm your host, Kyle, alongside my co-host, the much beloved, the best-looking player in JAMS football. That is Mr. Horace Hawk.
Oh, thank you. Starting with the flattery already?
You know it. By the way, if you guys haven't ever seen his signature, voted the best-looking player in JAMS, because we have an all-star selection committee every year. They also voted him best-looking player and all-effort second-teamer. So,
it's an honor to be on both those lists. I'm happy to see all my hard work has paid off.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get right off into the power rankings. We don't see too much differences between you and I. There are differences to be said, though. We both still got the reigning champs at number one, Swag. And I really don't think there's any much debate there. They went out, they won in convincing fashion, just as we envisioned them doing, to the tune of 32-0 against VS.
Mm-hmm. Well, not much difference there. They still are the top team in the league. They just beat up on a very weak VS squad. So, I don't know. I see you still have Union as your second team.
I still got Union as a second team. They're another dominant team. Mm-hmm. They won out and won by 30-plus points. Granted, they did beat our lowest-ranked team, that is GPAC. But nonetheless, whenever you win by that much, it is impressive. And they look like they left off just where they started. The same consistent, good team. Although I would say you have Hurricanes at your number 2 spot, and they went out and they certainly impressed this week.
Yeah, they beat Boonton. Although I did hear that Boonton didn't have both Shake, their quarterback, and Brendan Bowen, their tall star wide receiver. There was some iffiness there, but I still believe in the Hurricanes of the Union.
Yeah, and what was the exact score of that game? Was it 24-8?
It was 24-8.
24-8, Hurricanes and Boonton scoring 8. So they still did put up 8 points despite not having their star quarterback and their all-star wide receiver. So that is nonetheless impressive. It's not easy to score points in this league, especially when you consider the past 3 years. I mean, years past, when we first entered this league, there was about 5-6 teams that were pretty bad, right? And that gave up a lot of points on a weekly basis. But the defenses in this league have very much tightened up over recent years. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it would. Especially you'll see a lot of teams do have a star pass rusher or a star defensive lineman, and it's become huge in this league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just going down the list, let's see. The only one that does, just going down the top, I guess top 5, Dime State doesn't have one straight up star defensive lineman, but they do have a star linebacker who had a couple sacks. So it does make a difference.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And plus, teams also just, I think that from a schematic standpoint, they know how to play better. They're not getting beat on deep passes and we're going to go into the film and we're going to show that really it was just a couple plays that really changed the game versus, Code Red versus Gladiators. We're part of Gladiators, by the way. Mm-hmm. And this play by this kid, it's a big play league. We say that all the time. And if you know how to stop the big play, well, then you're naturally going to give up less points. So anyway, going back to our power rankings, we flip-flop. I have Union at 2. You have Canes at 2. I have them at 3. You have Union at 3. At 4, again, we disagree. And we disagreed on this same spot last week. But I actually jumped the Spartans up a lot. And this is a team that they didn't do very well last year. But I said that, they'll definitely be better this year. They got a better quarterback. The line has always been solid. They got some physical boys there. I'm jumping them up to number 4. You seem to disagree with that.
I mean, I still think the Knights are a much more physical team. Yeah, we didn't get to see them last week, but after last season and with most of the main players returning, it's hard to see them being a lowly team, honestly. Spartans, you had them 7th last week, and then I had them – actually, we both had them 7th. So seeing you move them up to the 4th spot is kind of big, although I did move them to the 5th as well.
Well, they
Uh,
won in convincing fashion. I mean, you have Dime City at 6, one
I
of the better
mean,
teams in the league, and I
convincing
think you had
fashion.
them.
Convincing fashion is a little bit iffy. They won 6-2, so there was only
Hey,
one
but
offensive score in the entire game.
listen, Dime City was a team that, especially late once Casey took over the quarterback reins last year, they started putting up some points. I think they were always a better defensive team than offensive team.
Oh
But
yeah,
nonetheless, when you hold them to 2 points, they scored off a safety. You shut them out on offense. So I think this Spartans defense is really good.
that just going off what's on paper, it definitely does look to be good. In Dime City, like I think losing Dylan Frank is probably the biggest loss in the league over the past offseason.
I
So
will say, though, Casey recently got in contact with me. He said that he's back to playing center. And yes, they lost Dylan, but they also got 2 other really good linemen. I haven't seen them yet physically. So it remains to be seen how good their line is. But I'm very excited to see it, though. But have to drop them just a little bit. I still have them over the Knights because, as far as I'm concerned, the Knights probably still don't have the roster that they had last year. Did they add anyone to make their team better? I don't know about that because they were just scrambling together just to even get a roster. You know, they had the bye week. Are they better than last year? Is Dime City better than last year? I don't know that we know that yet, but I think I'm a little bit more confident that Dime City's improved.
I mean, we're still 1 week in, and we still have 9 more games to go per team. So yeah, a lot could change.
A lot can change.
Like, let's not forget, Dime City they weren't a winning team until later on in the season where they strung a couple together and just made it to the playoffs.
You know, that's true, but the games that they were losing were pretty close. Even if you watch, I think their week 1 matchup was against Union, if I'm not mistaken, or they played Union very early on in the season. And that game was a 1-score game. And Michael Gordon, if you watch, there's a kick return at the end of the game. And it looks like he runs it back to the house. Now, maybe it went back on a penalty or whatever it was, but the game was closer than people think. And this is a Dime City team that was brand new to the league. So while they were racking up some losses earlier in the year, it's not like they were ever getting blown out. And it's not like they ever didn't show up. So,
All right, so let's move on to, let's see. Me and you have Dime City and, I don't know. So we move on to 5. What Spartans, Dime
like
City?
I said, we've spoken about Spartans, we've spoken about Dime City, we've spoken about Knights. Let's go on to the latter part of our list. Let's go on to my 7 is Code Red, and you also have Code Red at your 7.
Well, I don't know what it is with me and Code Red. I just have I can't call it love hate, but every week I just rank them really low, and they always end up surprising me. Last season, I just couldn't. I just always seem to pick against them. This season or this past week, they beat us, and the score was 6-8.
6-8. There was a long touchdown, which we're going to get into, and there was a safety.
And well, we should have done better, but they came up on top. They got their victory, and that's all that matters, right?
That's all that matters. And, you know, I think oftentimes, and we got on here last week and we were talking about, listen, man, Code Red, they got no size, a bunch of 180-pound guys playing on the line, right? They got a new quarterback going, right? They had attendance issues last year. We got on them and we ragged on them last week. But I think there is something to be said that they have a structure and an organization there. I mean, they got on the field and people knew what they were doing. I can't honestly say that people didn't know how to block. And there's a couple times there where people, you know, executed a seal block on me. Maybe not to the best of perfection, but, you know, the good teams in the league, they know how to do that type of stuff. The bad teams, you're going to see them just straight pass blocking every play. Even if it's a run play, a guy's just going to go and stick his arms out. He's not going to know to shift his body over. And we saw that some of the Code Red players, they were executing that. And the quarterback, you know, there was one bobbled snap that I can think of. But by and large, they really didn't make that many mistakes. So there's an organization, there's a structure there. They might not be the most talented team in the world, but people know what they're doing, and they play well with one another. I think we can say that.
Okay, fair enough. And they also beat us without Sammy Shaban, who racks up sacks.
He's an all-star in his own right. Not sure why he was unavailable, but definitely one of their better players. So anyway, let's move on. At my 8, I got us at number 8. And you actually have us at number 9. You have Boonton at number 8. Horace, so why did you drop us a little bit? I mean, we never really had us high to begin with.
it starts with humble pie, but also starts with Boone. I mean, they did put up points without Shake, without the star receiver. Those are two big playmakers right there. As for us, we had almost a full roster. We were only missing, I think, 2 or 3 players. So I don't know. At the very least, we eat some humble pie. That's really it.
Yeah, we need to go out and prove it before we go ahead and rank ourselves high. And it's a simple fact of the matter. And you know what? We showed flashes, but too many bad plays, too many boneheaded mistakes, and we deserve to be where we're at right now. I think it's fair to say that. So anyway, Boonton, I mean, like I said, they scored 8 points, but they didn't have their people. And to score 8 points against the Canes is pretty impressive, but nonetheless, they still did lose by 16 points.
Yeah. So there's positive and negatives. Like, we didn't give up that many points, but we still only scored 1 touchdown. Boone did outscore us, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to look at it, like who's better, who should be ranked higher. Boonton, I mean, obviously the Canes are a better team than Code Red. We both have them ranked higher. But 16 points is a blowout in JAMS. And 2 points in JAMS, that's a nail-biter.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our last 2. It hasn't changed since last week, but I saw a lot of the GPAC game in person, and they seemed outsized at every position. They didn't have much of a lineman. They had a lot of small guys, all probably 5'10" and under, more like receivers and linemen. And I saw big play after big play. Mustafa Abbasi just ate them up.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked like one team just completely on the same page with one another. I mean, Mustafa Abbasi, he comes in motion, and then he's lined up, I think, as a running back one play, just scoots out into the flat, catches a touchdown. There's no one even around him. One play, Rajab, it's like basically a QB sneak from a shotgun and just walks in the end zone for a touchdown, untouched, not even anyone near him. So, I mean, obviously Union has a solid line, but that should never happen. I mean, just it looked like organization versus not organization.
Speaking of changes by Union actually moved Rajab from safety to defensive end this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. And honestly, I don't even think he played much defense at all last year. I mean, I think whenever he did, it was just kind of out of necessity. But he was actually pretty effective from the defensive end. And you watched more of the game than I did. You want to tell us a little bit more about how he did there?
I mean, it's like Rajab could scramble, and I guess that he does have a little quickness to him, and that quickness worked out for him on the line. It helps that he's also 6'3", 6'4".
He's a big boy.
And he got to the quarterback a couple times. He created a lot of pressure.
He did. From the clip that I watched, he was definitely getting in there. Okay, well, let's move on. So we still got VS. I mean, they both lost pretty bad, and I think it's safe to say I feel very confident that those 2 bottom teams will be at the bottom the entire season. And guys, if you need motivation out there, I mean, prove me wrong. Like I said last week, I want GPAC to win. I really love some of those guys there. I played 2 seasons there, more than we did for any other team. So I think we want to see them succeed, but we definitely have our doubts.
Except on week 3 when we play them.
Exactly. Let's move on to a new portion of the show. And this is where we're going to highlight a certain individual or certain plays that changed the game. And today we got an individual from Code Red, Mr. Zakaria Ramjan, who actually was on the Gladiators roster. He was on our roster last year. And for whatever reasons that we don't really know, he wasn't able to show up to much games. And we understand it. A lot of people work. He's a young kid, 24 years old. He's probably working like crazy, going to school and things like that. I don't exactly know.
Actually, I think that's from North Carolina. That you should come up for the games.
Okay. So did he come up from North Carolina for this game? Because he figured, man, couldn't you just miss this 1 week? I mean, this kid was electric this week, and we're about to show that. So Zakaria Ramjan, here he is right here, number 1. He actually didn't even have a jersey. He was wearing some shirt that said God, guns, and something else. But here goes nothing. Horace, you can see my screen, correct?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, let's go ahead and let's throw the speed into half speed. Let's watch this play. All right, so quarterback scrambles outside the pocket, throws down the sideline. I mean, just look at the vertical, how much he got up right here. Catches it along the sideline.
Yeah, that's a good yard up in the air. I'm gonna say a yard. I really don't know, but it's a decent
Yeah, I mean,
catch.
look, right, this is Fitz right here on our team. Fitz is a good 6'5", and this kid is getting up and like he got higher than this, but right now he's on like Fitz's level right here, and he's only 5'10". I mean, I think that's being generous that he's 5'10". Not only does he catch it here, but I said this multiple times. We've just stressed this. We talked about this ad nauseum on this show. This is a big play league. You win and lose games by big plays. It's not, consistency is obviously a big factor. But you're not seeing too many teams win with the Tom Brady philosophy, dink and dunk all the way down the field. I mean, that'll help you if you could do that. But big plays are usually what changes games. So the kid catches it, jukes this guy out. You got a couple people on his tail. Right now, Nur Salam, he's in position to maybe make the tackle. And you also got a guy in pursuit who can maybe make the tackle.
Oh, wait, then he turned his back, so that doesn't help him out.
And then we got some guys right here, but at this point, he's already in the end zone for the touchdown.
Can we rewatch that in full time?
Yeah, let's rewatch it in full speed. Full speed. How about we say that, or normal speed?
Yeah, that's fine. I think the play starts at 3:05. Oh, you got it.
Let's just rewind it just a little bit.
And here we go. And just put some burners on right there. He was shifty with the ball.
Yeah. Just a very awesome play. And from what we understand, Mr. Zakaria Ramjan used to be on the Game Breakers and then played very sparingly with Gladiators last year. Now he's got a new team, Code Red, and he seems to be fitting right in. He seems to be one of their very valuable weapons. And we also got another play that we want to showcase. Let's just pull it up right here. Now, we must say that the camera guy, and maybe he's new to the job, I'm not exactly sure, but in terms of anyway, just part of the play is cut off, but we're definitely positive that that's going to get fixed going forward. This play is definitely harder to see because it's a lot more zoomed out, and you can maybe see part of it. Let's throw it in a slow motion. I think it's the next play. By the way, I had a sack on that play. Just saying.
Oh, okay. Okay. There you are with the flag. Do you know what's going on right there?
All right. Now, Zach caught the ball right there. And this is right on the sideline. Went down, and there was a little bit of Des Bryant. What did he catch it? Did he corral it or not? Did the ball hit the ground? You got players on our sideline over here saying, hey, the ball hit the ground. The ball hit the ground. There's our player, Hanny, saying there's no way he hit the ground. Refs telling him, get over on the sideline type of thing. But nonetheless, the refs debated this for at least a couple minutes. Did he catch the ball or did he not? And we'll throw that in real time for you.
And the original call was that he did catch the ball. But then the other ref, this guy on the right side, he came over and said that wasn't a catch. I was on the sideline. I honestly couldn't tell. The Zach Ramjan's back was towards me. I couldn't tell where the ball was, what happened, if it hit the ground or not.
I honestly couldn't either. It looked like he hit the ground from my perspective where I was on the field. But then again, maybe that's the bias and maybe that's the player in me that is just hoping and praying that it actually did hit the ground because I don't want it to be a catch and I want to still win this game.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, there were some players on our team, Horace, that said that was a catch.
Okay. I mean, from my angle, I just couldn't see anything.
We'll leave it at that, though.
Tough to tell.
So, Zach Ramjan, you got our shout out for this week. Much props to you. Hopefully, you can play an entire season of JAMS this year. If you're coming from North Carolina, I wouldn't advise you to do that because, man, that must be hard to do. But anyway, week 2 games, rapid fire pick 'em. Let's start off with the first game. This is on Friday night. Code Red is again playing on Friday night, leading off the week at 8:30 versus VS. Horace, who wins this one?
I got Code Red with this. They have better pass rush than VS. Although, let's see how Vic Campos is 1 year removed from his back injury.
So is he playing?
He is. I saw him on the roster the other day. So
wow, I did not know that. Well, he will be certainly a big lift for that team. They need someone to get to the quarterback like him. They need a leadership. I mean, I remember Vic just being an outstanding leader for VS. I mean, not so much last year. He definitely was a little bit, but in the previous years when he was really at his apex as a player. Just a vocal leader, the guy who was, calling people before the game, getting people there. He was tried to recruit me at one point, so he was definitely dialed in. So he's a very valuable piece to that team.
Yeah, high motor guy right there.
Definitely. I'm going to go with Code Red as well. I just think that they got more organization. I mean, we went and scrimmaged VS earlier in the year, and they only had 6 guys show up to the practice. And like we said before, the big roster turnover for them, not a lot of familiar faces. So I don't know. And Code Red has just traditionally been the better team. Let's not forget, we said this last week, Code Red almost made it to the championship game last year. Okay, let's go on to the second game, 9:45 p.m. on Friday, the Spartans versus the Boonton Bounty Hunters. Horace, who wins this one?
I like this matchup. I also like the matchup last week with Boone and Hurricanes. I'm going to go Spartans continue their early season role. So let's go with that.
I'm going to go with Spartans as well. I just think that Spartans has the more physical line just playing against these guys last year. You just typically walk away with more bruises when you play the Spartans than you do when you play against Boonton.
Oh, yeah. I remember last season, I felt exhausted. I was playing both ways, and I got double-teamed on defense, and I was just spent. So
yeah, they got some physical players there. The Solovani brothers, they really know how to use their hands and stuff. I mean,
And don't forget the best center in the league, Tarek McCowie.
Yes, who also doubles as a very, very good defensive tackle. He had at least 8 sacks after 8 weeks last year. So let's not forget. I mean, I don't know if he had any sacks against us when we played the week 10 last year, but this guy might have eclipsed 10 sacks last year, depending on the week 9 and 10 stats from last season. I'm not sure.
Actually, how about we throw in our predictive scores for these as well? I think we used to do that last season. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, we definitely did for certain parts. Go ahead, Horace. So what's Code Red versus VS? What is the score for that one?
I'll say 12-0.
12-0. I think that's a very, very good pick. I'll go with 13-0. They'll get an extra point on one of those touchdowns.
All right. What about Spartans and Boonton?
Spartans and Boonton, I think this is going to be – I'm going to go 12-6 Spartans.
I'll say 19-13 Spartans.
Here's what I say. Spartans went out and they had a very good defensive game last week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Boonton, you look at their last couple games last season with Shake at quarterback, their offense was a little bit better than it was earlier in the season. That's why they made the switch. But they're only scoring about a touchdown every week. They were consistent in getting that touchdown. They weren't getting shut out, but it was just about a touchdown every week. So I see them scoring about a touchdown in this game because Spartans has a good D. I don't see them getting more than that.
Okay.
But anyway, let's go on. Knights Hurricanes. This is the Knights' first game of the JAMS season, being that they were on a bye last week. The Hurricanes coming off a big 16-point win, which, as we said before, that is a blowout in JAMS. Horace, what do you think?
This isn't fair because I really like what the Knights do, but the Hurricanes are that proven team. One thing to know is Matt Burns. He used to be a really good defensive end for VS, for the Khalifas, and he is now on the Knights. So that kind of strengthens the D-line. I'm going to go 8-6 Hurricanes.
Wow. Defensive battle.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hurricanes wins this by a little bit more than that. I think that they can get 3 touchdowns up on the board. I don't know. I'm going to go
Kenny playing quarterback, so they could just lay it up.
I'm going to go 19-6. 19-6 Hurricanes.
Okay. Is that more indicative of the Hurricanes offense or the Knights defense?
I think it's more indicative of the fact that the Knights have they even scrimmaged? Have they even practiced with one another yet? And they're going to go in. They're going to play one of the best teams. And I do think that Kilkenny is better at quarterback. I make no bones about it. I was just perplexed last year that they would go in fresh off a championship season. I get it. Kilkenny wanted to play wide receiver. I get it. Why would you not want to play quarterback, though? And this is no shot to him. I mean, you're clearly effective at playing quarterback. Didn't get the whole QB switch last year. Never made sense to me. He's clearly better. They went out and they scored 24 points in their first week, and I think that clearly he's the better option at quarterback. So I think it's a little bit indicative of both, but I see them scoring multiple touchdowns. Go with the Hurricanes on this one. Okay. Swag versus Dime City. By the way, I think these last 3 games are pretty good. Knights, Hurricanes, I think that's a pretty good one. Swag, Dime City. You know Dime City's going to come prepared for that one. I mean, those boys get amped. You can best believe they're going to be amped to play the champs. Even the Gladiators Union, I think that's a good game too. But anyway, Horace, Swag, Dime City. You know what? Let me go first with this one because I've been making you go first for the first 3. Okay, I'm going to go with Swag. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to pick against them all season, although it does seem like Hurricanes does have a recipe to beat them every now and then. I'm going to go with Swag. They're going to put up at least 3 touchdowns. I'm going to say they put up 21 points. They capitalize on a couple conversions. And Dime City only manages to score 8 points.
I'm with you on the 8 points, but I think Swag might score an extra touchdown. I'll say, hold on, let me just do the math really quickly in my head. I'll say 26-8.
Wow. And 26 points is a lot in the JAMS game for those that are new to this league.
Yeah.
These games go quick.
So, Gladiators Union.
Gladiators Union. And this one caps off the week. You will not be playing in this game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm about to be traveling out with the family. I had the MCAT the day before, so I just can't show up to this game.
You will be missed. Mm-hmm. You will be missed. I mean, I don't think we should pick we kind of just went down last year. Even last week, we didn't really pick our game, did we? I mean, no. We always said that we're not going to pick against ourselves, so why even bother picking our game? Here's what we'll say, though. We know that the Union is going to be a tough matchup for sure, and we're definitely preparing hard. We'll say that, right?
Sure. I mean, we're obviously not going to stand on our laurels for the Union. We do have a couple things planned, so hopefully they work out.
Inshallah, which by the way means God willing. Anyway, Horace, any closing thoughts before we wrap this baby up?
I got nothing. I won't be here next week for the session for this talk show, and I guess I'll have to see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, even though you'll be traveling, Horace, it's not possible for you to do this while you're traveling because one great thing is that you do not have to be present, actually, the way that we're doing it this year.
I'll see what I could do.
By the way, I mean, honestly, such a good-looking guy as yourself, I wouldn't want to – you probably got some really big plans and things like that, so I wouldn't want to, hold you down, stop you from doing other big things.
I mean, I know our fans will miss this beautiful face right here, but sometimes you can't just give them what they want.
I hear you. Well, let me know. If not, I'll still be doing this, and – We hope to have a very special guest on next week. The tentative plan is to have Omar Abbasi from the Spartans, the quarterback. We've been wanting to have a quarterback on this show for quite some time, looking to get our first one next week. And we already have something cooking for who we think we'll have the following week. So we hope to have Omar Abbasi. Inshallah, that is the plan for next week. So you're definitely going to want to tune in for that. With that being said, it's another episode of the JAMS Football Show with Kyle and Horace, and we'll see you next week.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.